And the Fermented World is once again live. And we're going to be pouring this. I'm going to wait for at least one person to join first. But this is the apple and orange mead, which just uses apple and orange juice, really. It's a really, really simple one. It's kind of cheating. You know, it doesn't use chopped apples or chopped oranges or anything like that. It literally just has apple and orange juice. It uses a more expensive, like not from concentrate. It uses like the fresh pressed stuff, 100% pressed. And I think it made quite a bit of a difference in the flavour of it as well, to be fair. But yeah, apple and orange, and this is the sweet version because there was quite a lot of it. And I've only just remembered that I did a dry version as well, because I can't remember how many I got out of this. I want to say about maybe 7 litres. Might have been 7 litres. Right, no one's joined yet, so I'm just going to open it. Thirsty work. So it has got 2 days left, but you know, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And I'll tell you something as well. Normally I just rinse this flipping decanter out, and I had a glance at it last night and realised that there was quite a bit of a build-up of let's see, crud in there from where I've had the mead sat there, and it might have been sat there for, you know, the day or something like that. But here's what we've got. I'm going to have this one glass on a live, and then I'm going to have a mousse. So that's what we've got. Looking nice and clear. Absolutely fantastic there. That looks gorgeous. So, apple and orange. The sweet version, 13.5%. It's quite fruity. Hello JMK. Cheers. Just sampling one of the meads that I've made. Apple and orange, 13.5%. This is the sweet version. I got quite a few of them out of that batch, so I did some that were dry as well, so they lack the sweetness. But this is the sweet version. It is pretty darn sweet. Not too sweet, but I think it does complement the flavours of the juices better. The apple juice and the orange juice. Again, it is kind of cheating using the juices instead of like getting the actual stuff yourself. Hello, Cased, if that's how you say it. It has got, yeah, it has got a really nice colour, and I think that's owed to the apple juice and the orange juice colour once it's fermented out, yeah. Because it does look a bit more, I'll say orange. I'm going to say orange. It looks a bit more orange than what a normal mead would look like. Probably looks better up in the light. But yeah, not too bad at all. It was quite cheap to make. It's literally apple juice, orange juice, honey and yeast. You just mix it all together and you leave it. Eventually the yeast just ferments all of the sugar and it leaves you with a dry beverage. You then put stoppers into it, which stops it fermenting anymore. You add more honey to it, which sweetens it back up, and then it's just, you know, bada bomb. Now each mead takes a different amount of time. They're never all just the same, what do you call it? They never take the same amount of time because yeast doesn't have an instruction manual. It just does what it likes, you know. It just, it doesn't know what it's supposed to do. It just gets put in the environment where it's got sugars to consume. It then consumes the sugar and creates the alcohol. Sometimes it leaves behind a little bit of a residue of residual sugar. Sometimes it goes through the whole of the sugars, and then you get it fermented out to dryness. But there's always a way of adding sweetness back in. Now, I am going to try and make, I know it sounds stupid, but vegan honey. Now, I'm not vegan, but I know that vegans don't drink mead because it's an animal product. Because honey is basically bee vomit, if you think about it. They go around, they get all this nectar and pollen and stuff, and then they regurgitate it. So vegans, if they're strict enough vegans, they won't actually use honey, but you can make honey or a honey substitute. I've tried it. I've got a friend from the Czech Republic, and he's made some before, and he let me have some, and I put it on toast, and I shit you not, you nearly don't know the difference, because it's sweet and it's nice, and it uses dandelions. Always amazed at the happy accidents throughout history. Yes, for sure, man. Yeah. Love hobbies, a lot of passion over time. Yeah, I've got loads of hobbies, man. I'm always flipping busy doing something. I do this. I've got an outdoor channel. I've got an allotment, you know. I'm always busy, man. Always busy. And I like it like that. I like to stay busy. And talking about happy accidents, you know, when they found alcohol or mead, the theory behind mead was because they believe that it's the most ancient form of alcohol. Right, so the theory behind it is they were storing honey in barrels. Rains come down, it somehow got into the barrel, diluted the honey into what we call must, which is honey water. Then the natural yeast around on everything, there's yeast on all plant life, there's yeast everywhere, you know, everything that has a surface, there will be a form of yeast on it. That yeast then gets into the honey and thus ferments out the thing. So when they go to get this honey one time, Dave goes in with a big cup to get a cup of honey for something, and realizes it's really watery, goes for a drink, and he's absolutely shit-faced. Everyone's wondering what the bloody hell's going on. Other people try it, and then, you know, it kind of just snowballs from there. And then obviously there's been more, I mean, the way that people brew today is a lot more sophisticated than what we had 100 years ago or however long before that. Now, I do forget the name of the dynasty that it was from, but is it the Ling dynasty or Ming dynasty? They actually found traces of honey and rice in the bottom of one of these big like pot containers at one of these big palaces somewhere, and assuming that it was an alcoholic beverage. And the Ming dynasty, is it Ming or is it Ling? Can't remember now. But that's, and I believe it was China. I actually believe it was China. But yeah, many years old, the mead is. Now, today, the way it's brewed, it hasn't really changed much. It's just literally honey, water, and sugar. Now, I had a person ask me a question earlier on, and I've answered the question already, but he asked me, he wants to brew his first mead. He asked what ratio of ginger should he put to rhubarb. And I said to him, if you haven't already brewed a beverage before and you know the fundamentals of fermentation and how to do it, I would just go with a simple honey mead first, because that way, if it screws up, you've only lost the honey. You haven't then lost all the other ingredients that you're throwing in there as well. If you've already dialed it in and you know exactly what you're doing, I would say that the world is your oyster, man. Just stick it in a bucket, add some yeast. It's gonna work, you know. if you have the fundamentals of fermentation down, you will be able to create anything. Like a lot of the brews that I do, I just get an idea and I just throw it in a bucket and I'll see what happens. And then you work from there. You know, you work from. So for example, if this didn't turn out too well, I'd then think in my mind, okay, why didn't it turn out too well? And then you can go back and backtrack, and it's like, okay, maybe it needed a bit more of this. Maybe it needed less honey so that the fruits could come out more. Now that is actually a possibility. If it had less honey in, the fruits would be more dominant. So with the dry version, this is the sweet one. I'll open the dry one in a couple of days once I've drank this. With the dry one, that's going to be, you know, totally different. It's going to taste a lot different. It will still be nice. I do remember it being nice, but it will be very, very different brew because there's not going to be that sweetness. It's going to be like a wine where it's like, you know, which isn't normally what I'd have. I don't particularly like wines because of how dry they are. I like the mead because it's got a bit of sweetness. Even beers have a small amount of sweetness because it's unfermentable. Pardon me. So what's everybody else brewing then at the moment? Anybody else got any brews on? What's this Maribel said? Nothing of worth. But yeah, I highly rate that. I get more orange notes than anything else. It's definitely got that citrusy note to it. And I'm sure there was actually, I believe there might have been more orange juice than there was apple juice, because it was 2 litres of freshly pressed orange juice versus 1.75 litres of fresh pressed apple juice. I don't remember the exact amount of honey that went into it. It was probably the standard amount that I use. Actually, no, it wouldn't have been, because there would have been a lot of sugars in the actual juices. So probably didn't put as much in there. Hello, Misha. 1, 2, 3, 4. How you doing? Cheers. And that nearly brings me to the end. Once this glass is gone, that is it. But if you're interested in fermenting and brewing your own beverages, go check out the channel. And, you know, just go and have a go. It can be difficult to begin with, and don't let failure steer you away from it. It can go wrong in the beginning. Now, luckily, I just hit the ground running with it. I seem to be able to do it straight away. I've had a couple of beers that were questionable, but I'm not quite sure where they went wrong. It could have been the hops. It could have been anything. I'm a sub to you. Oh, okay, nice one. Cheers to you, Eden. Ting. I don't want to hit the thing because I'll knock the flipping tripod over. I'm so clumsy. I'm getting clumsier in my old age as well. Or older age. But yeah, think of it like this. It's as easy as throwing it in a bucket, adding some yeast, adding some honey, adding some water, whatever fruits you want to put in. I mean, hell, you could make a beverage with alcohol in using just sugar and water. It will taste like complete ass. It's actually a product from Finland called Kilju, spelt Kilju, and it was actually banned. Now, I did attempt to brew one. I need to revisit that actually, because mine didn't go very well. For some reason, it stopped fermenting, and it was just left with a load of flipping sugar in there. But yeah, apple and orange mead. which is a honey wine, if you didn't know. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all soon. Go check out some other videos that I've done. There's hundreds. I've probably got more videos than I have subscribers, so go check them out. Take it easy.